GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. Folks, crypto sold off last week, then we had a fierce rebound. On Friday, Bitcoin zooming all the way back to 71K. We cooled off a little since then, and now we're wondering, is there more pain ahead, or is the bottom behind us? We're going to break it down on today's show. I'm in the host seat today, Tyler D. I've also got Logan in the studio with us here. No Farouk, he is out in Hong Kong. Mando should be joining us shortly as well. Logan live from his new digs. GM, how you doing?
Yeah. Hey, good morning. I'm fighting through some new audio, video setup, so hope everything keeps upright for the show. But I'm doing well. It's an interesting time to be back on the show after a crazy week in crypto, of course.
Indeed, excited to get your thoughts. Before we get there, though, how was your Super Bowl? Were you watching last night?
Well, as you know, Tyler, it is not a bit my detraction from football, American football, I should say. I literally slept through the entire Super Bowl. We moved all weekend, so my body was quite tired. I threw on a nature show on Disney Plus. I fell asleep. Marco watched right here alongside me. She watched the entire thing. I was sleeping. I woke up in the fourth quarter. Football's out. Tennis is in. Sorry, folks.
Well, the thing is, you really didn't miss much because it was not an enjoyable football game. Unless you had bet heavily on the Seahawks, then you had a nice evening. There were some interesting ads, which we will get to as part of some of our talking items for here today. So, folks, what are we talking about on today's show? We'll go through the market report. As always, this new Japanese PM, Takachi, if I'm saying that correctly, they had a landslide yesterday. It sent Japanese markets. We're curious if that's going to roll over into crypto as well. We've got strategy somehow buying at a 79K average last week. How is that even possible? The Coinbase Super Bowl ad and some mixed reactions from retail out there. So we'll dig into that a bit. We'll check in on Ace Trader. Homie Farouk is live in the top 8 here in the final stretch. We'll talk about maybe some hyperliquid weakness here amidst a broader crypto recovery. The White House Crypto Council about to meet again tomorrow with the banks and crypto firms trying to get this Clarity Act across the goal line. MegaETH saying no TGE till we hit the KPIs. Saw some folks up in arms about that. We'll talk about that. Banker dominating the meme action plus a lot more. And we'll end the show with a spin, Yeet spin. We may not do the Yeet action today, but we will at least select a winner. And we've got our co-host in the house, Mando, the man who called the Bitcoin rebound to 72K in public. I think we went to 71.9. GM, sir, how you doing?
Good. How you guys? Just kind of a bit annoying. It feels like the volatility just died, didn't it? That's kind of where we're at. We had the volatility of the downside, and then KPM was like, "Oh, we're gonna rip back up. It's gonna break back." I was like, "I think this is where all your hopes and dreams are dashed." And we hang out at 69K for 6 months.
Oh no, not exactly what we wanted to hear after our
Merry Christmas. Yeah,
on Friday, but well, maybe we'll get into it, Mando. We can just start live with your market report, if you don't mind getting in. I don't have our intro music today. Oh, there it is. Thanks for
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM, everyone. So we did have, I guess we were around this sort of level when the show went live on Friday. Bitcoin was just south of 70K, and I think ETH is slightly outperformed. It's now kind of 2070. We obviously had some very big liquidations there, or close to liquidations. Trend Research reduced their position. You had Garrett bullish as well. So maybe ETH is in a slightly stronger technical picture. But I think the idea of just us doing a V-shaped rebound it doesn't seem like it's happening right now. We just kind of seem to be hanging out. Gold is starting to outperform again. Gold got back above 5K. there was talk today of the China telling its banks to not own US Treasuries, which I think is like a bullish metals trade again. But yeah, some strength in gold, strength in silver. We are hitting like lower highs, so potentially this is like more like a channel now for gold. At least lower highs for now, and kind of the same for silver. But the rest of the market is heading slightly south. I think there's still a little bit of worry just about tech stocks a little bit here. Like they've all kind of sold off recently, and we haven't really seen bounces. Amazon was the latest to kind of really go, and it didn't really bounce at all. So it's scaring. I wouldn't say it's crazy.
Oh, looks like we lost him briefly there. I'm sure we'll get him back here in a second. Yeah, stock's a little weak here today. It looks like we've also got some macro data this week that might be an overhang. I mean, I think we kind of make up these narratives sometimes, but it looks like jobs report on Wednesday that was supposed to come out last week. It got pushed. And then we've got CPI on Friday. So a couple big macro numbers here coming this week. I think something that I imagine Amanda was going to get into it, but a big macro headline was out of Japan. So PM Takachi won in her party, the LGP won in like a massive landslide, which I am not an expert in. This may surprise you. I'm not an expert in Japanese politics and impact on their economy. But from my understanding, landslide is going to be easier for them to get a lot of things passed. And she is historically crypto friendly. They are expecting to slash crypto taxes from 55% to a flat 20%, allow some loss carry forward. So some reclassification, some regulatory stuff, some tax stuff. That seemingly is slightly bullish. Crypto, I think we'll take what we can get. I mean, certainly their stock market reacted to it. I haven't checked in today, but as of yesterday on the market open, the Japanese index jumped 6%. So pretty significant move over there. I think this comes at an interesting time where China continues to roll out the crypto FUD and is going anti-crypto again. Meanwhile, Japan perhaps is going the other way. So thought that was fairly interesting. I think a couple other macro ones here from today. We got the strategy buy report. Strategy acquired 90 million in Bitcoin at a 78.8K average. Sailor, how is this possible? I'm gonna pull up the chart. I have to show everyone the chart from last week. Let's see. So a full week. Today is February 9th. Let's go back to the 2nd. All right, let's zoom out here. Actually, let's look at the hour. They'll even give us a better picture of where last week's spent. So here's last Monday. We were hanging out. We were at 78. So we were at 78K for basically one day. And then the next day we were at 76, and then we just plummeted. And somehow Sailor made all of his buys at the 78K level.
Where did I lose you?
We probably like 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We had just started talking. You were talking about Amazon weakness.
Okay.
So
yeah, Amazon's a little bit weakness. You got to be worried about stocks here. I continued on actually for a while there. So I basically just said, I think some people think that this is the breakdown of the trade still, that we will have a deviation below that 200-week moving average that will probably get down to the low 50s, maybe high 40s. Other people are like, we were the most oversold we've been in years, and normally you see very strong rebound there, even if the bearish trend continues. My view is that you are going to stay in this range for a bit. I think this is a pretty good range that we were in for 9 or 8-9 months in 2024. I think we will probably respect that for a while. And yeah, like I would be bullish if we broke above 73, 74K for like a breakout. Like, oh, we're going to, we're going back to then you can kind of look at it and go like, right, well, we're heading back to like 80, 85, maybe. If we break below 58K, it could get ugly.
Yeah.
54, I guess, was that bottom range. Look, a chart like that, it's tough to be bullish, I have to say. Like, you look at that, it's tough to be that bullish. The trend to me looks down. So you're really playing reversals here and how long can a reversal last. So I would think about the market a bit like that. Don't go all in, trying to call the bottom here. If it really is a bottom, we'll get another retest for sure.
That makes sense. So the range is what, like 60 to 70? Is that the primary range?
I think that was the really defined range. We did go down to like the low 50s, I think, back in 2024, like 55. Yeah. That could happen again. And it would be fine. You know, that would be fine. That would be respecting that same range.
6 months of 55K to 70K incoming. It's going to be a fun H1 here for us, no doubt. So you mentioned the long from, I think, what, 64, 65 on Bitcoin. So are you still in that, or you closed most of that?
I'm out. Close half of it at around 70, and the rest of it when it went up to about 71. I just don't see an obvious trade. Like, that seemed like a really oversold point. It felt like we were due a rebound on the headlines. We went up, what, 12%?
Yeah.
And then we did what I thought it was going to do, which is just chill. I think this is no man's land. Like, what are you looking to do if you're going long? You're going to have to get through that 71 level again, maybe. But I wouldn't bet on that. And then if you lose this, then we're just kind of back to the range where it could go down to 58, 55 pretty easily. So I would respect the range. Like, I'll be buying if we go back to the. I mean, I would have bought in the low 60s if I had the chance. I woke up and it was at 64. But I think high 50s, low 60s is where I'll look to nibble again. I don't think we break down from this range. Again, I think we're going to respect this for a while.
You think anything can out? Yeah, Logan, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to wonder if I could hop in with a question. Mando is going to be back with you. I haven't chatted in a long time. I wrote a piece about the Galaxy analyst who indicated, the move towards the 200-week moving average at 58K. He highlighted no near-term catalysts. From my perspective, writing about it in the last couple of months, it doesn't feel like there is a clear near-term catalyst. I mean, in your view, is there anything on the near-term roadmap that could send things upwards?
I said the Clarity Act may, but even then, I didn't think it was big enough. Like, there's some movement there, so maybe that gets, but I don't think that gets everyone super bullish. I honestly thought it would be like a bit more of an implosion in Japan that would be the bigger thing that would cause this to happen, but that hasn't really caused Bitcoin to go higher. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, what are you bullish on right now? I think I was bullish on crypto as a technology more than Bitcoin right now, and that's dragging everything down. But narrative follows price. Like, there's just going to be, if we start rallying, people will say that was the obvious bottom. There's so many things going for Bitcoin which are longer term things, which is just debasement. You just need the faith back a little bit. So I'm not getting overly caught up on like the narrative at this, and I haven't. That since we dropped below 100K, I have not been focused on the narrative. I've been focused on the price, because the narrative didn't make sense to me, and now it's just been about watching the levels and playing it level to level. To me, this looks like a graph that more often than not is going to break back down again. But I do think we're going to be in this range for a bit. So I'm not sitting there having some narrative of like, this is the lows, this has to be, or anything like that. Like, that as a chart doesn't look that good to me. It looks much worse for some of the altcoins. much, much worse. So to me, just respecting it, I still think you have to be very cautious going along in this market, but I don't think we're going to break down for a while.
So the flip side to your question, Logan, what are the catalysts? I mean, Bernstein's coming out today and basically saying this is the weakest bear case. It's like, what is the bear case other than just the chart is broken down too, right? But that's been kind of the same story since we've been selling off.
Well, I mean, in my view, the bear case is that and maybe this is a little bit of that narrative part that Nando was talking about. The bear case is that the narrative hasn't taken hold. Nobody sees it as the digital gold. Gold went up, Bitcoin didn't. I don't want to segue too far, Tyler, because that Financial Times piece I know you wanted to talk about maybe a little bit, but more or less my interpretation of that article was that like all greater fool stuff, and now the fools are running out type thing, and is that a really strong bear case for right now? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, just an incredible opinion piece from the Financial Times over the weekend, going viral, at least viral in the CT circles. I have not read it. I saw some screenshots from the article. I did not subscribe to read this one. They had to adjust their headline because originally it was Bitcoin is still about 69,000 too high, and then it went up 1,000, and they redid the headline and the graphics. But Logie, take us through Jemima Kelly's thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, this is my interpretation of her opinion, was that Bitcoin has reached this point in which all of the things lined up perfectly. You have a very crypto-friendly president, right? You have all the regulatory stuff that improved, particularly for the United States structurally, right? And Bitcoin is still floundering at this point in period, and there are not really strong catalysts moving forward. There are not people to keep being the greater fool, to keep buying. She talked a little bit about Saylor and his purchases. And I think I don't have the article up anymore, but she called him something billionaire. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I got a chuckle out of it. But more or less, my interpretation was that gotten to this point where it's reached so far on the back of the greater fool thing, right? So people just having this belief that it's worth something, even though there's really no reason for them to believe that it's worth something. And whatever. I mean, you can have that argument and you can debate that back and forth. You could probably make the same argument for gold, right? Aside from the fact that gold has just been around longer and people have agreed that it's worth something. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can continue to write these pieces about anything that has any value ever. It's very provocative, though.
That just seems like very basic analysis of what, Bitcoin's not worth anything. Much better would be like quantum's going to screw it, or the security budget long term could screw it. Those are real valid takes. Just saying, it's 70K too high, it just flies in the face of what everyone else believes. So I'm not worried. That is not the reason I think Bitcoin's selling off. I don't think Bitcoin's selling off because people suddenly don't think it can be worth anything.
Yeah.
The most incredible, just real quick, Logie, the most incredible part of that story is the author has been covering and flooding Bitcoin since $650 price point. So
that is incredible. I did not see that. 650. Oh my goodness, she must
tweeting since 2014.
She must be having a tough time.
So either trolling and has stacking sats on the side wallets, or a generational sideliner.
I can appreciate the conviction to it, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to appreciate that. I just pulled up the article, though, Tyler, just to make sure I was quoting things appropriately. So yeah, she goes into the fact that you have Saylor buying, you have the president invested family interests in crypto, which we've talked about. You have the things like Americans able to put eventually, right, potentially put it in their 401k. And she says, if Bitcoin can't thrive in this environment, when can it? And she goes into not being able to detail when the final spiral will happen, but says trying to work out the end date of a speculative mania based purely on belief, or more specifically on belief in other people's belief, is a difficult task. But that belief is starting to ebb. Again, just talking about the fact that it's gotten to this point because people have gotten others to believe, and now everything is shaky. The belief that there is worth anything here is faltering, which again, you know, I of course, full disclosure, own Bitcoin and am rooting for it to succeed. But if you were going to write this article, now seems like a pretty damn good time to do it, as it kind of does falter in the face of gold's run and the debasement trade and stuff. So it was splashy, that's for sure. I think Financial Times tweeted that it was like, oh yeah, right there, one of our most read opinion pieces since 2022.
Well, I mean, people love to read about crypto going down. I mean, it's actually related to another topic. Maybe we can just go there now. So the Coinbase commercial yesterday aired during the Super Bowl. Everyone's hyped. It's Backstreet Boys music. Everyone's getting into it. And then they do the hard reveal at the end. And it turns out that it's a Coinbase ad. Crypto is for everyone. And then you see like the retail reactions. And it seems like the universal retail sentiment was booze. And like in this video, the guy's flipping off the screen, which I thought was funny, but also just like somewhat indicative and actually maybe more of a serious problem. Like we're laughing and joking right now. But Logan, I mean, is this indicative of retail's crypto sentiment in February 2026? That everyone loves the commercial and they see it's Coinbase and they instantly flip and they just hate it?
I think so. I mean, it's so polarizing now. Like there are a million reasons to hate crypto, and there's basically no reason to love it right now because prices aren't going up. I couldn't think of a single reason to love, you know, as someone who works here, but even if I didn't, I couldn't think of a single reason to love crypto right now. You know, the idealism surrounding all of the stuff that created this industry is basically out the window. Prices are not going up, so you can't celebrate that. And you have, at least for Americans, you have a president who has made it very much a conflict of interest for himself and his party and his family. And so 50% of Americans right there have drawn a line that it's bad, you know, because of his affiliation with it. I get it. I get why you'd be upset. I thought the ad was kind of silly and whatever. I don't know. Personally, I did watch it, even though I wasn't awake for it. But I don't know. There's no reason to love crypto right now. I think if you're a retail or a normie, I can't think of one.
I mean, I think that might be a somewhat bearish take.
Why? Like, still, I don't know why. You know, I have no normie friends text. I actually haven't even had anybody texting me dunking on it. You know, I have my mom in the background continuing to say that it's a passing fad. She's been saying that for a decade. You know, so she's still in my ear and rooting for me now that I've just moved out. She's rooting for me to move back home already, given the price crash. But I don't have any normies even dunking on me. Like, I think they've called it victory at this point. You know, I'm down bad enough. They're not stepping on me at this point. No one's interested. Like, that's one of the big things here. I don't know how to get somebody interested either. I see comments about being bearish. I mean, I'm apathetic, I think is a better term. I'm not necessarily bearish. You know, we didn't talk about this last week, Tyler. Like, I didn't sell anything. I'm completely apathetic. You know, like, it sucked watching price to go down. I'm not rooting for it to go down. I want it to go up. You know, personally and professionally, I'm, of course, very tied to the industry. But I kind of just shrug my shoulders at this point in time. Like, I don't know. What am I going to say to somebody?
So I had this conversation with a few folks because yesterday, and what brings retail back is retail just gone forever. And I think it's as simple as FOMO. Like, I think as soon as the numbers start going up, people will come back just like they did in prior cycles. And I think one key difference of this last cycle is, other than like the immediate Trump pump from 60 to 90, it was such a slow grind up that we didn't really have many of those 5%, 10% days. And like, hell, like gold and silver just had it last month. And then you've got several stocks, different stock sectors printing these candles, and the crypto just didn't have it. But if and when it does again, I think people come back, just because I think ultimately, why are you trading any of these things? For the most part, other than long-term 15, 20-year holds, you're trying to make money and get a return. And as soon as that's available again, I think people will come back.
Yeah.
That's my view.
Yeah, you need prices to go up. Definitely. I'm still, I see all the comments about being bearish. Of course, my commentary at this point in time sounds very bearish. I mean, it is a little bearish, of course. I'm still convicted in crypto. I've said this a few times when I've been on the show recently, Tyler, about the boring stuff just being the stuff that wins. Which I just don't know how that manifests itself for retail users. Like, how do retail users win if crypto can go up, like trillions can come on chain for banking and stablecoin use, etc. I'm firmly convicted in that happening. I don't know that manifests itself in retail users winning.
Well, I mean, if you think of the core use case as a new global financial system that's permissionless that anyone can use, the reality is a lot of people in the US don't need that use case, right? Like their financial system works just fine, at least for right now. But it'll be there if and when it is needed. And there's other countries around the world where it's much more needed. But I understand your POV, to say the least.
For what it's worth,
yeah,
I did not sell. I'm still holding. I did not sell. So bearish near term, of course.
Yeah.
A little bit. And apathetic, yes. There is nothing, talk about the near term catalyst more specifically for Bitcoin price. I'm not the guy to speak to about that. But I mean, just from a headline perspective, which I'm writing every single day, it doesn't feel like, I'm not getting those the good headline catalyst vibes. So yeah, apathetic a little bit.
Amanda, were you tuned in for the Super Bowl? It's a little late.
It was late.
Yeah.
I had some money on the halftime show.
Like first song or Cardi B performing?
Both. First song and Lady Gaga.
That was the insider for sure.
Yeah, someone told me you got to go for these.
Nice. Looks like you hit them.
But their volume is like insane. It was like $80 million.
On those specific markets.
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
The volumes were insane.
I did it before I went to bed. I was like, okay, I'll put some money on this. Guy was like, oh, it's definitely going to be these two. It was like 60%, but it was like almost as much volume as the Super Bowl. Like people were going wild on this stuff.
Kalshi did 871 million total on Super Bowl Sunday.
But the majority of it was in these random. It was like, who was going to attend the game? It was like 50 million of volume.
Oh yeah, their number 2 bet. Number 2 bet is for a Super Bowl song. Number 5 bet is performance. Number 7 bet guess. So 3 of the top 7 were the entertainment markets.
No, I have to say, like, there's clearly going to be people who know all this sort of stuff. This is what I didn't understand about the whole market. Right. I was like, how is there 60 million of volume available on something like if Ben Affleck was going to turn up at the game? And I was like, surely someone who knows Ben Affleck can just ask him and he will not give a shit.
Did you hit this, Manda? Did you get TD Mi Pregunta?
I did.
Nice.
It was like 60% odds. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
And then there was some touts who thought some random tout said that this some other song was going to be it, and then the odds spiked briefly, and of course it didn't hit.
But this is the thing. It was a guy said to me, "Oh, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy," and I was just like, he was like, "We could just being farmed here, or it could be real. It's 50-50 odds." I was like, "Okay, why not?" But clearly, other people had a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy too. Like, this market is just who has the best inside information. I'm sorry.
And the thing about this one, I mean, assuming they did rehearsals, like dozens to hundreds of people knew.
Lots of people know.
Yeah. Like, there were huge markets on who would even turn up to the game. Like, I'm sorry, but if you just asked a celebrity, you and friends them, and just said, "Hey, are you going to the game?" They said no. Like, it was wild. Like, of course, it's not even inside. Like, this is a market built for insider trading. It's like, who has the information, and it's being built with like 60 fucking million of volume. Ben Affleck's going to show up. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
We need to start befriending Hollywood publicists.
I put on the bet, and I woke up this morning at 1, and I was just like, "This is a farce." Like, No wonder people are like, this is just a joke. Like, this is a way to transfer money to insiders.
I think it's actually a pretty big net negative, and I think it's going to come to a tipping point at some time.
I just don't know how though. Like, no one's like, people are willing to bet on this stuff. Clearly, right? There's clearly a market for it. Like, you could have gone both sides on this, but the people who will regularly win will be people who know Ben Affleck, know someone that's voting on the Oscars, right? I had a look around. I was like, oh, right. You can bet right now on that Leonardo DiCaprio movie to win. I was like, well, somebody's going to know somebody at the Oscars, right? And people are just going to make money. Ben Affleck did not go, apparently. But I looked at it this morning. I was like, well, somebody knew. Yeah, like, I think I would just be wary, because I think there's some weird incentives here. There's incentives from the prediction market to show they have really high volumes. There's also large market makers who are coming in and attracted by liquid markets. So you get like, and then the way to resolve these, like, there's so much insider information on some of these markets. It's just wild. It's wild. It's not like, oh, yeah, we saw a little bit with like the Iran stuff or Colombia, but if it's just, will this person go somewhere? And you can put like, there was 80 million of volume going through on that first song. 80 million of volume going through.
Insane. So here's an incredible example. So this wallet, freshly created, put 47,000 across like every Super Bowl halftime performance market. Hit them all, except for the Cardi B. Bet Cardi B no, because Cardi B was not a performer, but she was like shown
dancing or something. Yeah, like,
so even the insider missed that one. But like 47K is like, as I think about this, is probably someone who's like kind of like a normal Joe who maybe like works there or saw this, and they're like, they get along with their buddies, like, hey, like I've got the answers to all of these. Like, let's pool our capital and bet all these things and get as much down.
And I probably got, I mean, and then for someone like me, he's probably the third hand person, right? Like, it's probably, I don't know how many degrees of separation. You have to like, you could be getting farmed, because the crazy thing could be like, if somebody's saying, hey, Cardi B's or Lady Gaga's not going to perform, and actually she does perform and screws everyone, and you're taking the other side. Like, you can actually get farmed really hard here. So you don't know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I made 70 grand yesterday on this.
Oh shit.
I put on huge size. I was like, well, why not? Before I went to bed. And that's just wild.
Well, so like what's happened, the evolution is like a year ago, these markets existed, but you would have been lucky to get $700 down or maybe 7,000.
Yeah.
But now they are extremely liquid to the point where you can actually get the capital down.
I could put more on this than I could on like some of the alt lines on the game. That's how fucking wild the liquidity was. I was like, how is this market got this much size? I don't know if it's Kalshi coming in and giving the liquidity, or if it's the market makers, or like somebody started putting on a big position and then started market making it. But like, that is just not normal that you can bet that amount on a game, on a song to be played at the game, right?
It's not normal, but perhaps it's our new normal.
I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep looking for this. Like, this is clearly an insider trading market. Like, the actual platforms themselves are happy with the liquidity, happy with the volume, and people are going to know this sort of stuff. So go to Hollywood, make some friends. Let's win some money.
Man, just wait for the World Cup markets. Who's going to be at each of these games? Just start getting the.
Oh my god! starting 11s of some of the games. Oh,
yeah, we're gonna be able to do these for a couple times per day.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be an interesting summer. I do want to. Well, let's come back to a few of our topics. We got to talk Ace Trader. Here, so we are in the final day. The tournament ends midnight UTC, which I think is like 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll do the UTC conversion here in a second. Oh no, Farouk fell out of the top 8. I was just gonna say he was 7th this morning. It looks like he's below the line. He may not know this. He's traveling to Hong Kong. I don't know if he's landed yet or not.
He's landed.
Okay, so he is landed. He's now $1,000 out of the top 8, which he's played it well. He's made a couple big trades. He's been tight. He hasn't been over trading. I mean, he's still just $1,000 out. So he's very live. Just has to get a trade in here in the next 8 to 10 hours or so. So we'll be watching this one closely. 2 sharps, commanding lead, up 44K. Pretty impressive. So a 440% ROI on the week. I mean, this was a great week to have a perps tournament. Like there was an insane volatility. So this was a ripe one if you caught the momentum. I'll tell my personal story. So I was coming back. I hit the reset. I had 2,500. I doubled it Thursday night, and then I doubled it again Friday. But I kept my Bitcoin open long. My Bitcoin long open. I had 71.7 as a TP zone. I think it hit 71.5 overnight Friday, and then it sold off. And I got liquidated. So I got a little too greedy on a late long. I thought the contest ended Sunday, so I thought Friday was my last chance to have any volatility. So I had to push to get to top 8. It's like I looked at it. I was still like 6K out of the top 10 and said, like, if I'm going to make any kind of a run, like now is the time. So took the shot, got a little greedy. Wasn't the best shot. But it looks like there is still a little bit more time. Farouk and the ICO Beast Myriad competition is going to be, no, Farouk's got that one pretty handy. Mando likely to take the KBM bet. Not a huge surprise there. Are you putting any trades on in the final 10 hours? How are you thinking about this, Mando?
No, I mean the trade would have been on that Friday, and I just put it on IRL, so I didn't focus on it that much. But right now, I would this is not a time to try and win positions, right? This feels like a dangerous time. Maybe.
Well, that's the problem with waiting to the final day sometimes, right? Like you gotta. Now what are you gonna do? Like we might just be flat today, trading at 2% range. So I guess good luck. So we'll see how this turns out. We'll be rooting for the homie Farouk in this, and I think the next round is going to be different. It's going to be head-to-heads, and I think there are timing windows. So maybe we'll get stats back on.
I got a roll, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
To chat through how this next round will work. And yeah, we'll check in on the winners tomorrow. Next topic, I want to talk MegaETH with you a bit, Logie. We are both Fluffle holders, looking forward anxiously to the Mega TGE event. And I think one of the most looked forward to airdrops / TGE events of Q1. We thought it was coming January, February timeframe. And now it looks like it might not, in fact, be coming. We saw this article come out from Brother Bing, co-founder of MegaETH. This dropped, Thursday or Friday? I think it came out on Friday. Very interesting tagline. To make this undoubtedly clear, MegaETH is a token business. So coming out and hitting you right out of the gate with how important the token is. They talk through their thought process on whether to TGE or not, and ultimately their decision to tie their TGE event to KPIs, 3 primary KPIs that have to be hit. These are key performance indicators for those who aren't familiar. They need to have $500 million of their stablecoin USDM issued in 30 days. And 25% has to be deposited into non-custodial smart contracts, so actually put into use somewhere on MegaETH. They need to have 10 Mega Mafia apps live with some level of baseline usage. I'm actually curious to know a little bit more about what the baseline usage means. And then 3 apps with greater than 50K in daily fees.
That's for 30 consecutive days. That just below that.
50K for 30 consecutive days.
Yeah.
Good catch. I didn't see that on my first read
So
through.
that gives you a little indication of kind of like what that baseline usage is, like, right. You need at least enough usage for 10 that 3 of them are going to make 50K in fees daily for basically a month straight. So
this is a huge deal. I think this is perhaps a groundbreaking moment for token launches for crypto protocols. I think this is the first time that I recall ever seeing an airdrop / token generation event tied to KPIs. So first, I want your reaction on the decision to tie it to KPIs, and then we'll go into each of them specifically.
Yeah. So just reiterating the disclosure that I am a Fluffle holder. Want to get that out there. I think this is great. Every single token launch, to my knowledge, has just been launched, right? With high aspirations and ambitions for the respective chain or ecosystem or network, because of course all of these networks and teams want to do well. But the incentive stuff has always been a little bit messy, right? You lock the tokens for yourselves and perhaps for some of the recipients, and you hope that it goes up over time. But this way is, I don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy to say, almost like paradigm shifting, like a little bit, right? This is creating a completely different precedent for how tokens are distributed to users, and really is going to force, truly is going to force the network and the team behind the network and the team behind the apps on the network to get users and to get money on the chain, or else nobody wins, right? And that feels kind of, I don't know, like how it should be. It's not normal in this space, but it feels like it should be normal in the space, because so frequently the token drops and then everything is over, and they're trying to combat that.
It's so much more akin to like an IPO in the traditional finance world, where like you don't just get to IPO year 2 of your business. Like you actually have to show revenue growth. You actually have to be able to attract investors who want to buy in to your company at a certain valuation. And to do that, you have to have certain metrics behind it to make it appetizing. And that's just been so lacking in the crypto space. So I love it. I understand some criticism specifically around the ICO they did, that if this wasn't laid out ahead of time. And I did not pour through the terms and conditions of that ICO. So I'm not necessarily even going to comment on that. I do understand some pushback tied to that. But as someone who, if you are rooting for the Mega token to do well, I think you have to be rooting for this.
Well,
because now if and when it launches, it will have a foundation for success.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the incentive alignment is really strong. I think the ICO outstanding, which you already pointed, you could have some concerns or criticisms about. I think the only other thing at this point in time, if you're an external participant here, is, are these KPIs, are they truly an indicator of success or not? Right? Like, are they strict enough where to the point where this does signal some level of success? Is 500 million of USDM issuance, is that actually some indicator of success, or is that low? Like, those are things that I don't have the answer to, but that's where I think you could find some other potential criticisms. I'm certain the team, thought long and hard about exactly which one of these KPIs, what made the most sense, and what was necessary to find like not a perfect level, but like a balance between success, but not so long that you wait forever and it never happens as well. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. You still have the issue, which is not too dissimilar from other token launches, where, people want their tokens, right? Fluffle holders want their tokens. People who participated in the ICO want tokens. A whole host of others have incentives. The apps have incentives to get the tokens as well. Do you have that initial surge and rush? I got a post from the Telegram, I believe, the Mega Mafia Telegram, that the mainnet is live right now, or earlier this morning, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the initial surge just to hit these and then everything, And that's where some of the distribution stuff, right? They have to maintain for the token to continue coming out, right? So there's a lot to see here.
There is.
Yeah.
And I'm just going back to the folks angry about the ICO, and I'm trying to put my. So if you're angry about this because you're in the ICO, you just wanted a quick flip and you wanted to sell your tokens day one and move on with your life. Well, guess what? What do you think those tokens were going to be worth in this market? I don't think you were going to get out above water. I think if they launched the token today, it goes sub $1 billion. With no activity on their main net, with nothing in the current state in this market, they launch this, it probably goes to like 700 million.
Yeah.
And then ICO, you can't sell anyway. So I think if you want your investment to do well, you should want the chain to do well. Yeah. And have, so like this is why I have no sympathy for this group of people. But I want to talk about these. So 30-day time weighted average of 500 million. So this is like, we saw the last, people will put money on the chain. So this is going to be the easiest KPI, right? I think they'll hit this likely within 45
okay.
minutes.
Sorry. So I just pulled up the DeFi Llama for stablecoin market caps. Okay. This would put them in the top 20, basically, that KPI. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that's quite feasible. Like that would be around names that you probably have never even heard of in terms of stable coins. First Digital stablecoin, the Solstice USX stablecoin, that's the Solana protocol. Those are in like the $500 million range. I think they'll pretty easily be able to get there. To get into the top 10, like around Ripple, RLUSD, their stablecoin, then you're looking at 3x that. So like 1.5 billion in market cap. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think that one's quite feasible.
Monad has 440.
That's not the stable coin. Oh, you're looking at, I'm sorry, I was looking at individual stable coin market caps, not stable coins on the network.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's a little different, but you would assume anyone who's putting stables is probably there's going to be incentives to do it in USDM, right? So I think it's fair to assume. But we agree that one's going to be the lowest hanging fruit. 10 Mega Mafia apps live with baseline usage. Doable. This third one is the big dog. 3 apps with greater than 50K in daily fees. So that's 1.5 million a month. Let's go to fees.
I don't know.
Like crypto protocols right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure how difficult that actually is. I mean, I'm thinking like from a DeFi perspective, like again, if people are really, really thinking about just trying to get these tokens out the door, and you have a strong commitment of capital up front that's going to be participating. I mean, like some of the DeFi protocols, 50K, I know that's a lot of money, but think about the fees you're racking up on massive trades constantly all day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as I thought. So there's 100 protocols above that threshold. TokenWorks has done 3 million in fees in the past month. Wow. Some of these apps I've never even heard of,
right, are
doing this. Notably, some other bigger apps are not doing like crazy numbers. It's like Ondo's at 5.3. Next to Amazon.
I guess the good thing here is though it's not like they need one app; they need 3 apps to do it at least. Yeah. I didn't see any. There wasn't a stipulation there about like the differentiation of app, right? Like categorically, it doesn't. It's not like a one DeFi, one. No, it just says three apps.
Wait, maybe we'll take TGE 7 days after any of these is achieved. Man, I should have spent more time. I thought they had to hit all 3 of these. All right, so we think this is going to TGE in 45 days.
I'd say less.
Yeah. 37 days. The fastest it can be is 37, right?
Scroll up to the top one.
because this is
Oh, right. 30-day time limited average. Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, the baseline usage thing, I would imagine that's at least a month, right?
So Mega is coming. It's going to come in mid-March. So I think I've also seen the take that this is perhaps buying them a little bit more time. Maybe the market will be a little bit better. But we've got, Mando's take is he doesn't think the market's going to necessarily be better. Like we'll have some breathing room from the crash. Hopefully we haven't revisited the 200-week moving average at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to get Brett on the show this week so we can talk through some of this in more detail, because I do think it is incredibly interesting. On the fees note, I think the top meme mover of the weekend, it was a quiet weekend in the trenches from what I saw. But Banker was the story. Banker effectively doubled from Friday to Sunday. It went from like right around 50 million. From Friday, I guess it was in the 40s after the sell-off. It rebounded pretty quickly. I saw it closer to that 55 range, went all the way to 100. So it 2x'd. And I started seeing more folks on my timeline talking about it. So I looked into their fees. For the last 2 weeks, somewhere between 200K, 400K in daily fees. And again, this is a small sample size. And when I look at this chart, if I do have the concern, like, did it have a one-time boom and now it's kind of coming back to earth? Like, we certainly have seen charts like this from Let's Bonk, from the Believe app. So I don't want to get ahead of over my skis here by any means.
Yeah, right below there, Tyler, you can see those top 10 Banker tokens by volume. I mean, that speaks a bit to some of the surge here too, right? You got a mole book in there. I'm not sure what that's okay. That 24-hour volume it looks like, but like those tokens in particular, over the course of the last week, that was the narrative, right? That was the meta.
Yeah.
As that rinses out, I mean, Banker's got to be able to reproduce a token. Another set of token launches from Banker have to try to rival that to maintain that fee level, basically.
Yeah.
Or volume, just total volume of tokens launched needs to go up.
The bet on Banker is a bet that this Claude meta, that this AI agent tokenizing meta is just beginning. And that like we will see another AI meta on chain. And that it'll be done via the agents tokenizing to help pay for their own fees. And I do get the case. And I think the deployer, they shared some updates. I didn't have a chance to really pour through these in detail over the weekend. As I understand it, I believe they made some changes that will generate more revenue streams for them. I'll have to go back and look through the tweets. So they also made some foundational changes for their protocol. I mean, notably Banker, like if you were around since AI Meta 1, I mean, this is their second or third run. So, I mean, they launched in late 2024, struggled to get traction immediately. I think I was actually in this token at like a million, maybe sub $1 million when it first came out. And I have long since sold. Disclosure, I did buy back in over the weekend. Had their first run, they got to 40 million, sold off. Then their second run, and I don't even think I was paying attention to this run over the summer where they got to 100 million plus, sold all the way off again, and then now coming back. So this thing, it survives. This is its third pump. You don't see this that often in the crypto space, a token that's able to sell off this many times and keep coming back. So they certainly have my attention. I'm not 100% confident that this AI meta is going to continue. It does feel a little different than the prior ones, though. I do think like this is the agents themselves are much more substantial. Like this is not slot bots who reply in different tones, in different characters. Like this is actually agents that can do things and can build businesses. Now, does it make sense for those agents to have chains, to have tokens? And do those tokens are they actually tied to revenue streams? That's a different question. And no one's really solved that yet, which is why a lot of these AI tokens go straight up and then they sell off because the tokens are still effectively meme coins. But I don't think the AI agent meta is slowing down. It's not even a meta. Like this is the future. their interaction on chain could still be classified as a meta. I think it's more likely that it's just beginning than that it's already run its course. But I'm speaking as a bag holder.
Yeah.
Take it all with a grain of salt.
Well, I think I think you're totally right. We've talked about it a few times. You had Joseph Shalom on from SharpLink talk about the agentic economy stuff. Ethereum, say what you will about its token, but the network itself, they're working on this stuff to like make sure that AI and agents in particular, that means a lot of different things, of course, right? But like are a core functional component of Ethereum moving forward. You've heard, of course, people like CZ and Larry Fink and others talk about the mesh point of AI and crypto, and just they're kind of like made for each other, right? I think if I was paying attention, I'm not paying super close attention to the AI Ethereum crossover right now. But if I wanted to be paying attention to where there could be some gains made on chain, that would probably be the first place I would look right now. I'm with you there. I'm not sold on the meme component of it, but there's going to be some winners probably, or more than a handful of winners from the AI Ethereum crossover. I don't know what it looks like, but there'll be some other additional winners in addition to things like Banker, who have been, that's a successful token. Say what you will about recent price action or whatever, that to exist this long at 80 million or so, that's pretty successful.
To answer one of your prior questions from the show, what is there to be bullish on in crypto? I actually think the intersection of AI and crypto is arguably the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's still in its infancy, right? Yeah.
The hard part is, like for someone like me, right? Like, I'm just like so loosely connected to like what's happening in AI. I have it. There's chats with folks, we're both in that, like people that are much more dug in. I'm not there, like I don't know the next release of this thing and what it's going to allow us to do and how it's going to connect to the ERC 404, like whatever. But that's where there's opportunity. I'm being lazy, of course, in that regard. So, somebody who's willing to put in the work, I definitely think, that would be a fun, probably also a very fun area to be paying attention. There's not much you can say about fun and crypto right now, but yeah, maybe there.
It's time to learn Claude, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of the meme speak. All right. Well, we went through our topics today. We're not going to do yeet action, but we will do the spins. So what we're going to do this week, since I'm unable to play, is we are going to select a winner each day, and then next week, probably on Monday's a holiday, so maybe on Tuesday, we'll do a mega spins, and everyone who's won will come in and they'll get their action. So producer Charlie, if you're ready, let's pull up the wheel today and give it a spin. All right, here we go. Arizona Fred. How about that? Don't stay away handle. I don't think I've ever seen that name come up on the wheel before. I believe that is a new winner. So Arizona Fred, don't stay away. There he is. Finally. Yes, you won, my friend. So don't stay away. Make sure you tune in next week to come in and actually collect your yeet action. We will be doing that again next week. But congrats for winning. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in here on this beautiful Monday. Logie, thanks for joining us. Excited to chop it up with you here this week. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.